honors, though, they go the extra mile for us. But very often when they're in trouble, the same society that they support and defend don't show up for them. The Pipe Hitter Foundation is one that does. Full disclosure, folks, I am actually on their board. But they have made and decided to take the case of Officer Cody Smith, who is now serving 14 years in prison for a police encounter with a suspect where he fired in self-defense. Now, Smith's case went all the way up to the Alabama Supreme Court, and although his conviction was recently upheld, many of the justices on the court wrote in their opinions that it's hard to understand how the facts were presented here were true, if they were true, Smith being found guilty, but for an incompetent defense and a trial that left him at the mercy of a social movement and political furor. This goes to the point. If we ask somebody to step in the line of fire and then expect them to defend themselves on a police salary legally, is it any wonder that they lose against a state with nearly unlimited resources? And the social justice monster, of course, that forms against them. Here to discuss is the wife of Officer Cody Smith, Ashley Smith. Ashley, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Ashley, obviously the Supreme Court, upheld the conviction, but talk to us a little bit more about their dissenting opinions and their dissenting notes.
So Justice Mitchell wrote in length about what happened in Cody's case and how one of his quotes actually was that it's the most astonishing failure that they have ever seen in a criminal case. And basically the way that our appeal was presented to them left them a little bit tied legally in what they could do for us. So they requested that we file a Rule 32 against our representation. They do think that he deserves post-conviction relief, and they have said that it looked clear as self-defense and that he was following his training and that he does deserve post-conviction relief. So we are filing that Rule 32.
I'm optimistic of that and having known a little bit about your case, but tell the viewers what actually happened on that day.
So in 2016, he was patrolling a high crime area. He had been moved from his assigned district to a different area that was having rampant break-ins, and his supervisors had informed him to stop anything that moves and make sure he was being really proactive. They moved him because he was such a proactive police officer. And that night he was patrolling that area. There was a man that fit the description of the person who had been breaking into vehicles. So he stopped him, just a regular Terry stop, which is legal. And he started communicating with him, what are you doing, walking out here? And he had dark clothing and his hands were in his pockets. And so he did a frisk for his own safety. During the frisk, he felt a hard object. He radioed for backup. As soon as he radioed for backup, subject pushed off of him and ran. And so he pursued him. He was telling him, get on the ground, stop resisting. He tased him. He used his ASP. He tased him 4 times. When the taser was ineffective, he used his ASP in large muscle groups as trained, continued to pursue the subject. The subject was yelling profanities at him. Cody continued to pursue. They got on a porch. He grabbed a long steel-enforced painter's pole and went to swing it at him. And when he did, Cody at that point had used all necessary unlethal force that he could. So he had to change to his weapon to defend himself. And as a result, the subject was killed.
I mean, it sends chills up your spine, especially when you're watching, that you scroll these pictures of you guys with your children and seeing that he's been, separated from his children, which apparently the Democrats have such a big hard time with down at the border. But, for police officers, it's no big deal. You're looking at this relief, okay? Is there any end in sight for potentially overturning this case? Are you going to appeal it higher? Because the way you're describing it and the way I've read about it seems exactly what happened. So what are the grounds? Like, how badly did your defense screw up?
Our appellate counsel really didn't have a lot to work off of because our trial counsel didn't object to anything, hardly, throughout the entire trial. So the only thing that can be used on appeal has to be preserved. And by being preserved, you would have to have objected to things throughout trial. And so our appellate counsel's hands were kind of tied to what they could use on appeal. And so it left us in this situation where we're just desperate for relief. And every time we ask for relief, they tell us that they can't give it to us because of the way that we're asking for it. And it's just been such a frustrating situation.
This is maddening to me. Absolutely maddening, Ashley. I'm sorry you're going through this. Pipe Hitter Foundation is supporting you guys. There is a campaign out there to raise money for your legal fees. I really hope this gets resolved soon. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry this has happened to you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.